Welcome, college football fans, to the Volunteer Breakdown Podcast, where we, Gavin and Mylan, are your college football insiders, with intriguing takes into the Division I college football universe, to exclusive deep dives and breakdowns into the Tennessee football program. So without further ado, college football junkies, grab your popcorn and let's get into it.
I'm calling the upset on this one.
Let's see what happens this Saturday.
Our predictions don't matter. It's what happens on that field. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining this live reaction to the Mississippi State game. It was a close one yesterday, and I'm glad that my Vols pulled it out. And I know that we haven't done one in a while, an episode, so we're just going to go ahead and if it's sort of a short one, I do apologize, and I'm just going to go ahead and react, get you all my thoughts on the Georgia game especially, touch on UAB, and then we'll hit Mississippi State. So, going to starting off with Georgia. There's things that people don't take into account whenever Tennessee beat Georgia. They think that Max Gilbert lost the game for Tennessee. Well, I think that it was actually Josh Heupel. Yes, Max Gilbert did kick the field goal, but it was actually Josh Heupel's fault because he had one timeout left. He could have ran one more play, decided not to. False start because I guess players got a little antsy, and ultimately missed a field goal, lose the game. Now, play calling was great. I loved play calling during that game. Play calling was better than I thought it would be. Especially, I thought our defense was going to have – they did have their hands full in that game, but they held in there until the very end. And I'm glad that for the time and that we held in there until overtime. I mean, I knew if the game went into overtime, we were going to end up losing. So the loss isn't bad if you think about it. The loss it gives Tennessee a wake up call. Tennessee got a wake up call 2 weekends ago against Georgia, and now we know what our team identity is. The team's identity is, well, we're obviously a run based offense, but now we know what Joey's strengths and weaknesses are. Obviously, he threw a couple picks yesterday, but you don't expect him to go perfect. So, tough game against Georgia. Yeah, there's nothing you can do whenever you play against Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart has a great team. Plays with intensity and grit. Just great coach all around. I mean, yeah, they lost yesterday, but they were down by, I think, 2 touchdowns at halftime, and they ended up losing by 3. Which I don't know why they didn't kick the field goal, but we'll talk about more of the other games come when hold on a second. Come when I discuss all the other games that happened. So moving on to the UAB game, that was nothing really. I mean, it's a game you're supposed to win. It's really a bounce back game from the Georgia game. Obviously, you have some of your players that don't really get to play a lot that played. There's not really a lot to take away from the UAB game, just knowing that it was a good bounce back game. Now, Mississippi State going to yesterday. Special teams. I don't know what happened with special teams, but defense did good. I think it was a 3-and-out first drive, and then they kicked the ball, and it ended up being a muff punt, Braylon Staley, and gifted them a touchdown within the first 5 minutes, I believe, within the game. Now, people are saying, "Oh, we should have beat Mississippi State by 20." Well, whenever you're playing at Davis Wade Stadium with cowbells ringing in your ear for 60 minutes, and Mississippi State ain't no scrappy team. Well, they are a scrappy team, but they're no pushover, so to speak. mean, yeah, they beat Arizona State, a team that was, I'd say, overhyped in a sense preseason. But I mean, Arizona State, they're a pretty average team anyway. They're not terrible. And yeah, they lost their star running back last year, Cam Scadaboo, but they still have Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt, their quarterback. So they got weapons outside. They lost. It was a close game that they lost. Just ultimately that game came down to who had the ball last. But going back to the Tennessee Mississippi State game, I didn't watch the whole game. I watched first half of the third quarter, and then I caught the tail end of overtime whenever the fourth and goal. I do know that Bishop had a rushing touchdown, first play in overtime. Immaculate. The guy's a beast. I know I said it earlier in previous episodes, but we have a three-headed monster at running back. You have Star Thomas, Deshaun Bishop, and Peyton Lewis. The depth at running back is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And plus, you got arguably the best wide receiver in the nation, in the name of Chris Brazzell. He has most touchdowns in FBS right now. They said yesterday that he had like a streak of 4 touchdowns, or at least 1 touchdown in 4 straight games. And the last person to do that was Jay. I think it was either for a team or FBS, but the last person to do that was, guess who? Jalen Hyatt. And my guy had 5 touchdowns against Bama in 22, and probably the best game of college football that I have ever watched. So great game. I mean, we played a little sloppy. I'm not going to say that we played the best, but we could have played a little better than what we did. But obviously, you have you're a little weak in the secondary. You don't have Jermon McCoy. You don't have Ricky Gibson. But you did get David Sanders back. I'm glad that David Sanders. I'm glad that he came back, or that he's finally had his collegiate debut, because that is like one of the big needs that we need on the O-line is a guy like him, because he is an absolute beast. Now, going back to what I said about Jermon McCoy, obviously we have a bye this coming week. But Jermon McCoy actually might be back for the Arkansas game, which is great, because I mean Arkansas just fired their head coach, Sam Pittman, in case you didn't know, and Bobby Petrino is now the new head coach. Their offensive coordinator is now the interim head coach after being steamrolled by Notre Dame, and after losing in an upset game where they let Memphis come back, and obviously losing a game that in a very close game against Ole Miss. So, I mean, yeah, I think their first game was against like Arkansas Pine Bluff. I don't know who they, probably like some cupcake team, like every SEC team played. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if this was a good decision by Arkansas to fire Sam Pittman this early in the season. Yeah, lose 2 straight games against a good Notre Dame team. I mean, actually, no, I take that back. Against an average Notre Dame team that has a great running back. Jeremiah Love had 4 touchdowns the first half of that game. He's an absolute beast. If any person, I don't even know if he's in the Heisman conversation right now. But if he wasn't, which it wouldn't surprise me if he's not in the Heisman conversation right now. If there was somebody that I would put in the Heisman conversation that is not currently, it'd be my guy Jeremiah Love right now. Now, don't get me wrong, Joey Aguilar's, he's right there with him. I know it's totally 2 different positions, but Joey Aguilar, he's an underdog right now. I mean, nobody looked at Tennessee to be ranked 15 in week 5, or having a close game with Georgia and going on the road to Mississippi State and beating them. But yet, No, the expectations weren't high for Tennessee by analysts, but that's a good thing in my opinion. If you are under the radar by the media and by ESPN analysts, that's a good thing because nobody's talking about you. Nobody expected Tennessee to beat Alabama in 22. Nobody expected Josh Heupel to recruit Hendon Hooker from Virginia Tech. Yeah, you had an average season. You lose to Purdue in the Music City Bowl, but you have that season, and then you turn around and next year and you go 11-2. Like nobody expected Tennessee to have that big of a turnaround. And then you end up. I mean, yeah, you lose to Georgia, but you beat Florida, a team that you haven't beaten a while. Same with Alabama, and you get revenge on Pitt in 22. It just Tennessee had a great year in 22, and then nope, and then obviously the exodus of Nico, and people were saying like, oh, Tennessee's going to be awful because like, what do we do? What do you have the QB situation? Well, real fans will tell you that Nico leaving was the best thing, and you can just see it with the predicament that UCLA's in right now. They fired their head coach about 2 weeks ago, just lost the game. Now I think they're 0-4 right now. Lost to Northwestern, and I've heard. I don't know if the rumors are probably false. There's things going around Nico transferring or whatever, stepping away from football. But the guy, I'm a regret of leaving. That's what he's doing. Now, to get to the other big games that are going on that happen. To start off, you got obviously Alabama and Georgia playing each other between the hedges. Georgia coming off a big win, obviously against Tennessee. They had a bye last week. Wasn't a close game. It was a close game against Tennessee. Obviously, they lose that game by a field goal. A game that they probably should have. They should have lost, but ultimately that game goes in overtime. They lose. Alabama goes in between the hedges, winning three straight, I believe, coming off a bye as well that week, and Ty Simpson goes in there and tears the Georgia defense up. Which I didn't think that they played the way they played last night. I didn't think that they played that way. I thought they would have played better, and just not a whole lot to say about that. I mean, I didn't really watch much of that game either, but from what I saw, Georgia's defense looked like they were getting like steam plowed through, and Ole Miss and LSU kind of the same way. I mean, I'm just going to go and say all the games that I am going to talk about in the other aspect. I didn't watch much of the games because, I mean, I just wasn't able to. So, I mean, I'm just going to give you my thoughts real quick about what I thought. So, I mean, Oregon, Penn State, the game goes into overtime, which I did see that part. Whiteout game, Death Valley, 18th whiteout game in. Oh, I said Death Valley, Happy Valley. My bad. And Oregon goes in there in a very hostile environment, one of the most hostile environments in college football. Auburn went. I remember watching the game. Auburn went into Happy Valley. I think it was 2021, and my gosh, was that place rocking? They hadn't had a night game with a whiteout in forever, and I think that was actually the last time they had a night whiteout game. But Oregon goes in there doing what Oregon does best. I mean, besides wearing 10,000 uni combos, and they take care of business against a playoff caliber team. Now, Penn State, they're not. I wouldn't say they're in the national title conversation right now, but they are definitely in a playoff spot contention right now. Now, what I hope doesn't happen is that history doesn't repeat itself. And y'all remember when Will Howard slid whenever there's no time left on the clock last year against Oregon, and we all know what happened after that. Oregon ended up getting beat by like 20 in the Rose Bowl, and Ohio State ended up winning it all. So I hope that history ain't repeating itself here. And let's see. Florida State gets upset by Virginia, and Apparently, 19 people got hurt at the whenever they stormed the field, which is awful. I mean, don't get me wrong, storming the field, it's a great sign. It's a great sight to see, seeing overjoyed fans rushing the field. Yeah, your school gets fined for it, but I love to see it. I love to see it, but I don't like to see people getting hurt. Um, trying to think if there were any other good games on yesterday. If there was, and didn't mention it, I'm sorry. AP poll reaction. You know what ticks me off? Tennessee staying 15 for 3 weeks in a row. Let me just go ahead and read y'all the top 10. This is the top 10. Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Penn State dropped 4 spots from 3 to 7. Indiana, Texas, and Alabama. They just had to slide Alabama into the top 10 just because they beat Georgia, an average football team. And guess where Georgia dropped? Just because, I mean, they lost to a ranked team at home, and so did Penn State. They dropped 7 spots from whatever Georgia was to 12, whatever they were before, to 12. I'm telling y'all, the ranking system is rigged. It's rigged. It's all in the favor of the Crimson Tide. It's whoever they want in there. They're trying to get Alabama in the playoffs now. Going down from 11 to 20, Texas Tech, Georgia, LSU dropping 9 spots from where they were, 4 to 13. Iowa State didn't move, and obviously Tennessee. Let me just stop you right there. 3 weeks in a row. The Georgia game, I understand. UAB, move them up at least a spot. Tennessee just went on the road in an SEC hostile environment, beat an undefeated SEC team, and you don't move them up or down. They've been 15. They've been 15 for 3 weeks in a row. The math ain't mathing. It's all about whoever's on this AP poll committee wants in there, like I said earlier. They don't like Tennessee. They just think that, we're good at football now, so they just got to try to keep us out of the conversation. It's all about who they want in there. Same with other sports. I mean, basketball is not that bad, but it's all about Bama gets style points more than anybody. And there's some other schools that get style points as well, but they don't like Tennessee. The AP poll don't. Vanderbilt is 16. Georgia Tech, 17. Florida State dropped from 8 to 18. Missouri, 19. Michigan, Notre Dame, 21. Illinois, BYU, Virginia, and Arizona State. Y'all, we need a new ranking system. Yeah, I love the playoff rankings. The way that they do the playoff ranking is it's just during that time, it's craziness. I remember last year Arizona State beat BYU. BYU was in the playoff conversation. They ended up beating them at BYU. Arizona State goes on to win the Big 12, gets a bye in the playoffs, which I'm glad they changed the playoff format this year. I haven't touched on it a little bit, and I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's just the top 12 teams. They're doing conference championships. They get an automatic bid, but they don't. I think they still have the buys, but I think they're getting rid of the conference championship bids. I think it's just going to be the top 12 teams get in. Something else. The new SEC annual opponent schedule got released Tuesday. And Tennessee's annual rivals are Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. Whoever thought Kentucky was a good rival to keep whoever thought Kentucky was a good rival for Tennessee to keep for the next 4 years, I don't know what your thought process was on that. Because what I had heard was that it was either going to be, they had already finalized Vanderbilt, obviously, because it's our in-state rival. But I'm like, well, I don't really care for Vanderbilt. I mean, we basically own them. I mean, I really don't have blood-boiled hatred for them. Obviously, you keep Alabama, but going back to what I was saying about Kentucky, they said Georgia was out of the picture. They said that it was either going to be Kentucky or Florida. I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. Just pick Florida because I love watching that game. I mean, yeah, they have a bet. They have a. If you look at the history, they have more wins than we do in the series. But I love to watch Tennessee play Florida. Same with I love to watch Tennessee play Georgia. But there is there. But I mean, you had to keep the third Saturday in October, obviously. But there is good news. Whenever they release the schedule, Tennessee will be playing Georgia, Alabama, and Florida in 2027. We'll play at Alabama. They'll play Florida at home and Georgia away. So at least because what they're trying to do is they're trying to let everybody rotate playing each other so that they're not trying to play the same teams over and over again. Because I think that's what they were trying to do. The kind of the first step was to get rid of the East and West because they knew that they had two teams coming in, so they kind of had to, in a way. So and then I've been telling everybody, I wish we played Texas. I want to play Texas. Well, guess what? Next year we're playing Texas. We're playing LSU. We're playing Auburn. We're playing all three of those teams at home, and I am looking forward to it. Faison Brandon is going to tear through Auburn, LSU, and Texas. He is going to do better than Arch Manning. Faison Brandon for Heisman. For Heisman. Then you're playing at South Carolina, at Arkansas, at Texas A&M, at Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Alabama at home. That's next year's schedule. But if you take those games, I know that was a lot. But if you take the 2026 schedule, you play the 2020 and 2028, those teams from 2026. If you're following me, you play the 2026 schedule, those teams, and they rotate home and away. So, play Alabama at home in 2026, 2028. Well, actually, no, they would flip flop anyway because they're annual rivals. Let's do Texas A&M. You play them at home in 2026, and you don't play them until 2028, and they'll be home. So, well, I think I got it wrong. Y'all can figure it out. I'm sure that y'all can look it up and just figure it out. So, hope y'all enjoy this episode of the Volunteer Breakdown Podcast. I'm Gavin, and this is your College Football Insider. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, obviously here on YouTube. Hit that like button and subscribe. Hope y'all have a good